Hi, it's Joy Foster, founder of Tech Pixies, and you're listening to the Sparkle and Thrive podcast. And I am so excited about today's guests. This series, the Social Media Trends series, we do it every year. It's our most popular series. And of course, we've got one of our most popular coaches on the call today, Sophie Bradley. So thank you, Sophie, for being here.
Hi, it's so lovely to be here. Where has that year gone, Joy? Seriously, we did this, as you said, in 2021. Now it's 2022. It's crazy. It's too fast.
And a lot has changed in the last year. I mean, COVID's still here. We're still dealing with it. In fact, I've got a child in my house with COVID as this is being taped, and my husband just got over COVID. So we know that it's still around. How has COVID impacted Instagram in the last year?
Well, Instagram has been on a roll. It's been crazy in 2021. Seriously, there's been so many new features. It's been actually really quite hard to keep up. Because they've just been testing new things and trialing, new ways of getting people to connect and engage and collaborate. And there's been a lot of competition, and reels have been really high up there still, and they will be coming into 2022 and going forward. It's impacted organic reach a bit. It's been tough in 2021. So it's a lot about understanding that there are all these new features, but you don't have to know them all. You can know them bit by bit, but it is massively still about community and connections and being a valued part of other people's communities, but really valuing your community. And I can't state that more. It really is, because that's how, on an organic level, with all the different features that they've put in place, that you are going to be able to help grow your accounts.
Yeah, community is massive. And I think, interestingly enough, that has continued virtually, because we can't have community in person. And, we have to find community other places. And interesting that has continued to be a trend. That was something we talked about last year. What are some of the new features that you think it's worth learning? Like, there are certain things that come out and people trial them and then they flop. Obviously, when Reels came out, they took off because you got more exposure. The jury's still out on guides. What do you think about guides? Are they even worth bothering with? And what other features are exciting that have been introduced that are worth testing out?
It's an interesting one, actually. We talked about guides before, remember that? And I think guides, I think they're underused, actually, and they can have a place. I don't think they're necessarily the main space for people to then sort of for the algorithm to help you as much as you'd like, but they're invaluable, because over the festive period, I encourage people to use them, actually. And I saw lots more people using them in terms of identifying the different services that they had, the different products, loads of tips that they sort of brought together. And then also what people were doing with guides is they were repurposing them. Okay, they were repurposing them in their email marketing. I know this isn't about that, but actually they were invaluable for that. So they were gathering all their wonderful, wonderful tips or the products that they wanted to showcase, and they were putting them in one guide, and then they were bringing them across and actually using in their email marketing to showcase that, to really highlight, particular things that they wanted to with their audience. So there's still a little place there for them. I still think so, but it's not where Instagram is pushing us to go. It isn't. So we've got to use what they have, but we've got to really, make use of the tools that they are going to really push. We have to. Because we want to make it work for our businesses. But it's all about testing. And I always say this, Joy, genuinely, that we need to test our content. We need to test the tool itself in terms of what works for our audience. Because Mr. Adam Mosseri, the lovely head of Instagram, I really like him, actually. He's got a really nice manner, and he's become very personable and very approachable and very out there. So he's making Instagram very sort of, sociable, very approachable. And there are key things in those two messages in terms of the way he does it, that actually I think we can take from that and think about how we do it. But he massively is using Reels at the moment in his content creation. And it's purely for reels are being used for updates. So he's using them to literally give his updates on 2022. He created a reel the other day, 6 days ago, all on the key areas of focus for 2022. And I think that's really interesting, because reels went down the route of being all about fun and all about, you know, transitions and all about, you know, making them very concise and catchy. But because they've lengthened them to 60 seconds during 2021, he's now using them to literally give you an update. So whereas before you'd have used, you know, a normal video format or potentially an IGTV, which is now gone, IGTV is gone, and the videos formatting are sort of being all brought together. He used that, and it's very interesting to see that actually reels are being used that way. So think about reels in terms of not just being about having to do transitions, lip syncs, make them real, quite literally, you know, make them authentic, actually, you know, choose to use them in a way where you are maybe just outlining, you know, something that's coming up, and you make it just very as though somebody was walking into your shop and you were just talking to them. And if you look at his formatting, it's very clever, actually. So that's where I would say reels is also going. It's not just about those quick, fast, quick links, but making it a very sort of more informal, more sociable way of talking to somebody in 60 seconds. But because they want us to use that format, I would be using it for that as well.
So this is interesting on the Reels side. So let a couple just things for people who are listening who might be new to social media. So guides are where you can bring different posts that you've done on Instagram into a guide.
Yeah.
You collect them together. So we talked about that. And we talked about how you can share guides into an email list to get clicks back to your social media, which is a really great strategy. And you should be doing that. You should obviously be building a mailing list at the same time. That's very important. We talk about that all the time. You need to have a mailing list and you need to have social. Very, very important. Facebook and Instagram both went down in 2021. And people, if they didn't have a mailing list, had no way to communicate with their community otherwise for that period of time. But then when we're talking about reels, where like you said, originally it was the dancing, the pointing, and the music, etc. So when you talk about this shift in reels, you're talking about people using the reels format to create just a 60-minute video, like a talking head video, or
So
still
like
all of the fancy bits with it, with the music.
No, I mean, you can still use it, because obviously within your strategy, you'll want to go in to show people, you want to educate people, you want to inspire them, you want them to have fun with you as a business owner, as a brand, because that's how you would be if they came into your shop, if they came into your studio, wherever you work, if they came to see you in the real world out of these squares, you would want them to experience that. But what I've seen more and more of, and he's been using it a lot, which is, he's a good person to watch, because you can see little things that he begins to introduce and actually think, bing, a light bulb moment. Let's use some of this and see how it works with our audience. But yes, it's literally a 60-second reel, and he is talking away, and he'll have literally a caption that will tell you what that reel is about. So, he put it, Instagram 2022. And that was what it was. And then he has actually been captioning them elsewhere. So he's pre-recorded it. He's captioning them elsewhere. So, subtitling them, and then actually they're uploading it. And that's actually key to see that there is this movement away from just having, these quick things that are moving, and it's slowing it down a little bit. It's making it more, what I would say, authentic and personable, and social, so that we can build those communities and we can build those connections. And that's something that he talks about in this reel that he created 6 days ago, is that he talks about how he really wants people to have more control over Instagram, and understand. They've brought in, the sensitivity element to Instagram, where they want people to feel as though that they can turn off likes, that they can ensure that they don't see certain words, that they can block, inappropriate comments, because of obviously the terrible racial slurs that have taken place and bullying on Instagram. And they're trying to move and stop this from happening, which is good. I think they can do a lot more, but they are making those moves, which is a good thing. But he wants people to have more control, he's saying, within the world of Instagram. And I think that's something really important to take on board. And he wants it to be more transparent, so that we know how it works. so that we can make best use of it. And they're his words. And I think that's important, because Instagram has always been this sort of thing out there. You can't contact them if something's gone wrong. You know, and it's all these hidden things of, you know, how it works, and all these hidden things about the algorithms, you know, but actually they seem to be wanting to be a little bit more available, more transparent. It may be, you know, as I said, there's a lot of work to do in those areas, but they want to reel us in. And they are in still competition with TikTok massively, which is why they're doing everything they can to make themselves as approachable, as likable, and they want us to get to know, like, and trust Instagram. I think that's what's going on in marketing terms, quite literally.
Well, one thing we talked about a lot last year was the emergence of shopping, Instagram shopping, Facebook catalogs and shopping, et cetera, all that, connecting the two, getting them going. How has shopping evolved on Instagram? Is that still a very key part of the Instagram features? And has anything evolved there?
Yeah, massively. I mean, Instagram shopping, if you thought you knew what Instagram shopping was about, watch this space, because they're going to really up their game. What they've talked about is actually creator-led commerce is going to change the way we shop. So in 2022, what they're going to do is they're going to be rolling out their native creative affiliate program more widely, which will provide a more significant monetary incentive for influencers of all sizes to sell products on behalf of brands. So they're going to really push people who are influencers, creators, who are linked with brands, to be able to make better you know, monetary gain out of it. So people will therefore, it's encouraging people, isn't it, to shop, and we hope that people will be authentic in the way that they use it. And that's what I'm going to say is, you know, be mindful, you know, do your research with, you know, when people are promoting brands, you know, make sure that you don't just take it at face value. I would say that regardless of the fact that I love Instagram, we need to be ensuring that we are actually shopping safely, and that we do actually get to know, like, and trust the people who are promoting these brands, and feel that it is authentic. But it's there to try and help the influencers. And by that, I would say that actually brands or businesses thinking about working collaboratively with people who could work as influencers for them would be a really great way for businesses to grow. And when I talk about that, collaborating is really, really key on this platform. They've introduced collaboration tagging system, so that for reels, for carousels, for videos, normal formatting for posts, so that when you create a post on Instagram and you get to the very end, so when you create it natively on Instagram and you get to the end, and instead of just tagging somebody that you would normally do if you were doing something in collaboration with another business or another person, you can now invite them to collaborate with you, and you can literally put them. And so what that does is it showcases your post on their grid. And if they were to create a post and they collaborate with you, the same thing. So you get visibility is increased because you'll be seen by their audience, and then they will be seen by your audience as well. So it's great in that way. So they've put those things in place before, and now they're talking about really, you know, pushing this affiliate program for creators.
That's massive, to get automatic real estate on somebody else's grid. And for our listeners who are new to Instagram, we have people from all different levels who listen, but the grid is really that. People talk about the 9 squares and things like that. I mean, that's really your grid. It's when people go to your account and they can look and they can see what you're posting. Because a lot of people, before they decide to follow you or to join your community, really is what we want to say is, you know, they're going to go and check you out, and they're going to look at the stuff that you do, and who you collaborate with will enhance their interest in following you, connecting with you, joining your community, etc. So that's really interesting about the creatives. And how about ways for creatives to get paid? Is that changing in 2022?
That's what it is. It's about this affiliate program. They haven't gone into detail about it, but it's going to be that they're just going to make things easier for people when you do actually have an account, to be able to recoup the money that you've organized between you and the other business. And that's where the collaboration is key. But even if you don't use this affiliate program as a creator, it's key to understand the importance of collaborating, because collaborating is building your community. Collaborating is sharing your story to a wider audience. Collaborating is actually enabling others to see the services and products that you provide. And therefore, it's a great way to generate leads. And it's a great way then to actually increase the likelihood of sales. And it really is key. And so with the collaborating facility that I just talked about, people will then see it within the feed. And what that means is not only will you see a post that will have 2 names at the very top of the Instagram post for those 2 businesses, it will also mean that you can click through. Straight away, you'll be able to click through to that other person and go and see what they're about. And that's the power of Instagram. Within these small little squares, if you understand how to use the tool and you have a really good strategy behind that, you can really help yourself to grow and connect with a wider audience and get them to know, like, and trust you, which I always go about. But what I mean by that is to actually know what you're about, what your values are, what your products are, what your services are, and actually get to feel that they want to be a part of your world and that it will help them and they want to buy from you. And that's the idea of Instagram ultimately. Is, you know, it's a research tool, it's a search engine in parts, a little bit. It's not, well, not a search engine, but it has got good searchability on it. But it's and that's something to always hold in you know, your heart whenever you're creating content on Instagram, is to always think, actually, people are searching for, you know, something to shop from. People are searching for a service. People are searching for social media training, and think about how you can get people to find you. And that should be, you know, through your making sure that your keywords actually within your captions, making sure that hashtags, which are still a bit up and down hashtags, there's, you know, they need to be tested regularly to see how they're working. But thinking about how you can be found, you know, are you using your alt text to be more accessible, so that you're more accessible to an audience who may, you know, have hearing difficulties or visually impaired? How are we working with our audiences to make sure that we connect with them as best as we can?
You're talking about the alternative text.
Yeah, that's right. It's important because it's part of that keyword, you know, searching that people will do. And it's, you know, and we need to be connecting and respecting diversity, equality. You know, I go on about that because of my background and what I used to do before, you know, became involved in social media. But it is important because when people think about it, if they come into a real shop, we want to, you know, understand them. We want to actually connect with them. We want to be able to communicate with them in the way that best, you know, represents them. And that's key. It sounds a lot, but actually isn't. We do it all the time. But sometimes when we come on these little squares, we forget how we do it out in the real world. It's quite interesting.
Let's go back to this collaboration piece, because I think this is really important. Because there's going to be people listening right now and they're like, well, I can't collaborate because I only have 100 followers or 200 followers. So let's talk about collaboration and what the minimums are. Do you have to have a certain number of following in order to participate in collaboration?
No, not at all. You really don't. I mean, you'd have to have a business account. And so, yes, you do have to have 100 followers. But what I would say is, think of it as though, again, taking it into the real world. If you were to go into a business and you connect with somebody and you feel that actually your values align, that your products maybe align or your services align, and you could actually benefit and complement what each other is doing, then it's a great way of actually forging something to take that forward, both in the real world, so beyond social media, but also within the world of social media, and especially on Instagram. So you can really, you know, you can connect with people. That's the power of Instagram, and I love it for that. is that you can find people, because that you can search and find people through different communities, through hashtags, through reels. You can find people, and then you can begin to connect with them. You can literally, you know, connect with them through commenting on their content, going and DMing them directly, you know, in a polite way. We don't want to spam anybody, and building these connections, and then actually seeing if there's a way that you can collaborate. And it literally is taking that fear away, and understanding about, as I said, connecting with people and communicating. And if you really believe in what it is that you do and what you love doing, then I think that connection can be made easier. And after all, what you're doing is you're benefiting others by forming a collaboration, because they get the best of two worlds. Or
so let's talk about a collaboration that you've seen that's worked really well. What how they structured it, what kind of creative they used in order to do that. Or how would you, like, what would be the best way for someone to get started with a collaboration?
So I think the best way is to actually think about, you know, strategically, who complements your business. And so say with me, so working with somebody who creates websites, and so therefore actually understanding that would really help the small businesses that I work with, to have somebody who would be able to help them create a website. And so actually understanding that we could then complement each other in a way that I can promote the services that they provide, because I know firsthand that they work, and vice versa, they can promote the services that I provide to help those small businesses. So we can join together. And then on Instagram, we can actually create assets, so visuals, or we could create a joint, we could do a live together, and talk about how we could actually help people, and the service that we want to provide, or the products that we want to provide that will actually enable people to, you know, get some benefits. And so there are different ways. You could create a static image, you could create a video, as I said, you could go live together, talk about it, and provide something at the end of it. And then when you'd create this collaboration as an actual post, you'd have your caption that you would design between the two of you, and then you'd send it out into the world of Instagram as a collaborative post, which would enable people to then see it from both perspectives within both audiences. You could share it into your stories and let people know there that you're collaborating. It's a great way for people to understand that you don't want to just do it in isolation, that you're really thinking about them and their benefits as a small business, or as a creative, or as a health coach, or, you know, that how you can actually help them in partnership with somebody else.
I love this idea of doing lives with someone else, and turning that into collaboration. So do you then edit like once you've done your live video and you've posted it into your Instagram videos? Because I mean, it's funny, mine still says IGTV. I know IGTV is dead, but mine still says it, which is so weird, because
it is,
we haven't pulled it from our curriculum yet, because people are still seeing it. I'm still seeing it, etc.
Yeah.
So I think eventually it'll go away, but you do your live video, and then it goes into your Instagram videos now, is what it's called. Right. And then you add your collaboration at the end, or do you have to add your collaboration?
So what you would do is that at the very end, when you write up your caption to post, you know, to publish that live, is that you would, again, where it says tag, rather than just putting the you know, and the name of that other business, you actually get a visual aid that says invite collaborator, and that's where you actually collaborate with that individual. So it's a powerful tool.
And can you do it retrospectively, or do you have to do it in the moment?
No, you can do it retrospective. The beauty with lives is that you can they can be archived. So if you set up your settings for them to be archived, they are there available for you for 30 days after the live has taken place. You can save that to your phone, and then you can actually upload it. And you can upload it now if you have you know, a laptop and a phone that synchronize and that talk to each other. You can upload it either from your phone as a new post, and or you can upload it from your laptop, because you now, well, most people have the facility of actually posting and publishing from their laptops. It's not quite, I don't think, it doesn't work quite as well, but you can do that. That's another facility that they brought in actually last year. I don't think people are using it quite as much as maybe they'd like, but I think people are still very much on mobiles with Instagram particularly.
Yeah, no, definitely. But it is nice to know that that feature is available. I mean, we're big fans of Creator Studio because it's just easy, it's fast, it's built in, it's done by the networks. But a lot of people still like to use third-party pre-schedulers. In fact, we're testing one out at the moment. We haven't come out to say, yes, we totally think this is amazing. But at the moment, Abby really likes it because we can pre-schedule group posts on Facebook in advance from this third-party tool rather than straight in. Yeah, so we'll be talking about what we're using later if we continue to use it, but Abby seems to like it. Everything's in one place, it's easy. But what I'm curious about, so we've talked about guides, we've talked about reels, we've talked about shopping, we've talked about collaborations. Is there anything else that we need to know about? I mean, at one point they said that the grid was dead and stories were where it was at. So also I'd love to know what your thoughts are on the combination between the grid and the stories and how those are moving forwards. But yeah, we've only got about 5 minutes, so give us the lowdown.
No, seriously, one of the big things is the introduction of the chronological and suggested content feeds. And he's actually gone public with it in this recent reel that he created. And they are going to, so basically they're testing feed changes, okay, but they actually are bringing it in now and they're testing it more, and they want to actually launch the full experience in the first half of this year. So they're going for this. And the idea is that there will be 3 different feeds in home, okay? Feed number 1 will be called home. This is the Instagram experience you know today. So where your content is ranked based on how they think, as in Instagram, the algorithms think you are interested in each and every post. So that's going to be what we already know. So that's feed number 1. This goes back to them wanting us to have control and understand how Instagram works and take back control. But it's also because it's a little bit, the ones that are coming up, because they're a little bit like TikTok. And then the feed number 2 will be called favorites. And this is what they're saying it will be called at the moment. Knowing Instagram, they'll change something because they like to do that. But that will be a subset, and that's a list of accounts that you don't want to miss things from. So you can then go in and you'll be able to actually choose to go into feed number 1, which will be home, which will look like it does now. And you'll see, sort of 6% of what people are producing, so you're limited, and not many people get through their whole feed in any case. So you miss a lot of content. Feed 2 will be those that you really want to hone in on. So this could be a really good technique if they go ahead with this, if you're really wanting to hone in strategically on certain accounts so that you can really build those connections to then potentially build collaborations.
You choose what you see in that feed.
You do, yeah. You actually choose. They will have, the facility for you to be able to literally click on to have feed number 1, feed number 2, and there's also going to be feed number 3. So it's not going to confuse anybody. Of course it is, which is why this is good to talk about, and this is something that we'll have to go on a journey, all of us together, to learn about it and actually help each other to make sure it works best for us. But number 3 will be a chronological list of posts from accounts that you follow,
which is the way Instagram started out.
Yeah, exactly.
All the way back to the early days where it was just chronological.
I know, but that's what human beings do, isn't it? We always go round in circles. We do it with fashion, we do it with everything. But
that's interesting that there's the 3 feeds. And I do like the favorites feed, because I think if you follow like thousands of people, you're never really going to see the stuff you really want to see unless you are honed in on them. So and what about stories and the stories and the grid? I mean, one of the trends I saw happening in 2021 is still happening now. Someone will put something on the grid in order to get more likes and engagement. They'll then share that into their stories. Is that still happening in 2022?
It's still definitely happening in 2022. Yeah, it will be. Stories, they put a lot of input into stories. Again, they gave the link sticker in stories, which is where normally people who had 10,000 plus followers, they could put in a link directly to a URL, you know, for booking for a particular service, for products, something that they were promoting, or somebody else's things that they were promoting. Now everybody, or most people, have access to this link sticker, which it's transformational, seriously, within Instagram, for small business owners who can then have a direct link. You don't have to put link to bio or go and visit my bio. You literally put the link, and you can customize it within your stories so people can click through. It's a game changer for small business owners. It really is. And I've seen that transformation, and I've seen the kick through where people have actually clicked through and being able to purchase. And it makes, again, the shopping facility so much easier for people, but it's great for business, for small business owners.
I have to say, when that link feature first came out, it totally sucked though. I mean, in all honesty, like, we were trying to, like, I know we had social media volunteers using it, and it never worked. And it was so frustrating. Oh yeah. It was like, and I kept saying to them, why are you putting this stupid link thing on here? Because it doesn't go anywhere. Right. And it was, and it would say like techpixies.com, when actually we wanted them to go to like techpixies.com/vision workshop. And because I guess you get to tell what you get to say, what they see, and then you get to see what they click through to. Is that correct?
Yeah. So how it works is that you literally choose the URL that you want it to go to. You pop that in. You can preview that now, which you couldn't before. So you can preview that, and then you can customize the name of the link, so it doesn't just come up with a random name. And if you don't want it to just say techpixies.com, but you want it to come through to, you know, book your ticket for whatever it is, or, you know, you can actually customize it to make it a really good call to action in its own right. And that's really powerful. So stories are definitely there to stay.
And this link feature works.
It does work.
So
it does work. So use it.
I was so annoyed though. I couldn't figure out why it was. And then I thought, okay, well, if this thing does work, it's amazing, because it removes that need to have 10,000 followers. I think Instagram realized it's not actually easy for the average person to get 10,000 followers.
No.
In fact, growth on Instagram takes a long time. If you're going to do it organically and authentically, and, you know, as without massive ad spend, et cetera, and without like a major follow plan, which does work, but we don't recommend that beyond getting started. Just to, I still say, it's a controversial topic, and we've had a conversation internally about whether or not we keep it, whether or not we don't keep it, et cetera. And really, the follow on thought follow method, which doesn't really exist anymore in the way that it used to exist, is just about finding people that you want to connect with and connecting with them, and actually having real conversations with them, commenting on their posts and DMing them, and then, but you also can, and it's not this massive follow all the time. But my point is, if you're not connecting with people, if you're not following people, if you're not doing those relationship things, your account will not grow. So, you do have to do a bit of that. And the unfollow side of it is really, if you do reach out to someone and you do follow them and you do connect with them, and they're not interested in connecting with you, they're not interested in following you back, they're not interested in a relationship, well, you don't have to keep following them, and you can eliminate them from your Instagram world because they're not wanting to communicate with you. And it just, that is the reality. Not everyone wants to connect with everyone all the time.
And again, I think that's absolutely true. And I think it's fine to feel that you can actually unfollow people, based on what they're bringing into your world on Instagram, into your business world. And in the real world out there, if you knocked on somebody's door and they didn't open it and they didn't want to know, well, you'd walk away and you'd say, well, I tried and it didn't work, or it wasn't the right timing. And there's no necessity to continue that communication. And that's all you're doing. So yeah. I think it's right, actually. So.
And I think it's important to look at who you're following and cull that and make sure that you're following people you want to be connected to. That the things that are popping up on your feed number 1 and feed number 2, feed number 3 are things that matter to you and that lift you up and make your day better, right? On that note, if people want to follow you, how would they find you on social media, especially on Instagram?
So if they want to follow me, and which would be lovely if you did, because I love meeting new people, so they can come find me on Socially Sophie B, everywhere actually, because as I was very well trained by you, And Tech Pixies, I have the same handle across all platforms. So socially Sophie B, yeah.
Well, we'll test out our collaboration feature when we post this video onto Instagram and see if we can get that to work. Thank you for your time. You are always a breath of fresh air, and I so appreciate your insights on Instagram. You do a wonderful job coaching our students and looking after our Instagram curriculum. And we just want to say thank you very much. And thanks to those of you who are listening and watching. We appreciate your time as well. Have a great day.
Thanks, Joy. Take care.